The night didn't change when my girlfriend stepped away. It stayed loud, too bright, too full of people pretending not to listen. But something in me shifted when her cousin leaned closer and touched my arm like she was steadying herself, not me, and said, "Stay a minute." I hadn't planned on remembering it the way I do now. At the time, it felt like a small thing, barely anything, just a hand, warm through the sleeve of my jacket, and a pause that lasted longer than it should have. We were at the hotel bar downstairs from the conference my girlfriend had dragged me to, one of those places that smells like citrus cleaner and old carpet. She'd gone to the restroom, phone already in hand, half smiling at something she didn't explain. I stayed because there was nowhere else to go and because the chair had molded to me. Her cousin, Lena, sat beside me with the quiet certainty of someone who never rushes. Mid-40s, maybe more. She wore a black blazer that looked lived in, sleeves pushed up like she'd forgotten about time once or twice. Her hair was streaked with silver, not dye to hide it, and she didn't keep checking the mirror behind the bar the way everyone else did. When she spoke, she didn't raise her voice. People leaned in anyway. "You don't have to stand," she said when I shifted. "She'll be a while." I shrugged. "I'm fine." She nodded, as if I'd answered a different question. Then her hand found my arm. Not gripping, not lingering, just enough pressure to stop me from leaving. The bar hummed around us. Ice cracking, glasses clinking, a laugh that ended too sharply. "Stay a minute," she said again. There was nothing flirtatious in her tone. That was the strangest part. It sounded practical, considered, like she was asking me to hold a door. I stayed. We talked about nothing that mattered. The hotel, the city, the way conferences always promise ideas and deliver headaches. She listened with her head tilted, eyes steady, letting my words land wherever they wanted. When I ran out of things to say, she didn't rush to fill the space. She sipped her drink and watched the bartender wipe a spotless counter. "You're younger than I thought," she said eventually, not unkindly. "Is that bad?" She smiled, not wide, not coy. Thoughtful. It's honest. I didn't know what to do with that. My girlfriend had said Lena was intimidating. Successful. Not the type, she'd joked, like Lena existed in a different category of women entirely. Sitting there, I saw what she meant. Lena felt complete. Not closed off, just whole. Like she didn't need anything from the room. When my girlfriend returned, Lena shifted back, the hand gone from my arm so quickly I wondered if I'd imagined it. But the warmth stayed. My girlfriend slipped into her seat and launched into a story, words tumbling over each other. Lena watched her with a soft patience that felt practiced. At one point, Lena glanced at me. Just a look. Brief. Questioning. As if she were checking whether I'd followed the thread she hadn't spoken out loud. Later, when we stood to leave, she touched my arm again, lighter this time. A correction, maybe. Or an apology. "Take care," she said, and there was something in her voice that didn't belong to me, or to this night, or to the way things were supposed to be arranged. I went upstairs with my girlfriend. I brushed my teeth. I lay awake listening to the elevator chime through the wall. It was the way Lena said stay that I couldn't let go of. Not like a request. Like a door held open, just long enough to notice what was on the other side. I saw Lena again 2 days later, and this time it wasn't an accident. My girlfriend had asked me to help her cousin with something work-related, files that needed scanning, boxes that had to be moved from a storage room the hotel used for overflow. She hates asking, my girlfriend said, already distracted, already gone. The storage room was tucked behind the ballroom, away from the music and the constant churn of people. The lights flickered the way they do in places no one is meant to stay long. Lena was there when I arrived, jacket off, sleeves rolled higher than before. She looked tired in a way that didn't ask for sympathy. "Sorry," she said, as if the room were her fault. I didn't realize how much there was. "It's fine," I said, and it was. I would have stayed even if there'd been nothing to do. We worked side by side, the quiet broken only by cardboard scraping concrete, the distant thud of bass from the ballroom. She moved carefully, like she was counting her energy. When she bent to lift a box, she paused, just a beat too long. "You okay?" I asked. She waved it off. "Just give me a second." I noticed her hands then. The way the skin around her knuckles was dry, the faint line on her ring finger where something used to be. She flexed her fingers as if testing them, then smiled at me, quick and practiced. "You don't have to hover," she said gently. "I'm not," I said. Then, quieter, "I was just checking." That made her stop. She straightened, eyes on me now. For a moment, I thought she might say something sharp, something that would put distance back where it belonged. Instead, she looked past me at the stacked boxes and let out a small breath. "I forget people notice," she said. There it was. Not a confession, just a crack. She laughed a little after that, soft, surprised by herself. It didn't sound like the laugh from the bar. This one faded quickly, like she hadn't meant to let it out. I realized how tired she was then. The kind of tired sleep doesn't fix. We finished faster than expected. Neither of us reached for the last box right away. The room felt smaller with nothing left to do in it. "Thank you," she said. "Really?" I shrugged, suddenly aware of how close we were standing. "Anytime." She hesitated, hand half raised, then let it fall back to her side. Her eyes flicked to the door, then back to me. "You should go," she said. Not unkindly, not firm. I nodded, took a step back. The space between us snapped into place like it had been waiting. As I turned the handle, she spoke again. "You are attentive." I looked at her. She was watching the floor now, arms folded, like she'd said too much. "Is that bad?" I asked. She smiled, tired and real. "It can be." I left then, but the way she'd paused before lifting that box, the way she'd almost reached for me and didn't, it stayed with me. A soft pull, quiet, persistent. It was later than it should have been when it happened. Not late enough to feel reckless, just late enough that the building had started to exhale. The conference was over, the hotel thinning out. I'd gone back downstairs to return a badge I'd borrowed, and found Lena in the small cafe off the lobby, lights dimmed to a softer setting that made everything feel provisional. She sat alone at a two-top, a notebook open, pen resting across the page like she'd paused mid-thought. "You're still here," I said, before thinking better of it. She looked up, surprised, then smiled. "So are you." I should have left it there. Instead, I asked if she wanted company. She hesitated, just long enough for me to register it, then nodded. The coffee machine had been shut down. She pushed a mug toward me anyway. "Cold. Forgotten." "It's terrible," she warned. "I deserve that," I said, and she laughed. This time it lingered. We talked quietly, voices dropping without agreeing to. She told me about the notebook, how she wrote things down so she wouldn't forget them later, or maybe so she could. She didn't look at me when she said it. A vibration cut through the moment. Her phone lit up on the table. She glanced at the screen and stiffened. Didn't flip it over. Didn't answer. "You don't have to." I started. "I know," she said too quickly. Then softer. "It's just noise." She slid the phone into her bag, like she was putting something away before it could break. Her hand lingered there, fingers pressing against the leather. Outside, rain started up, sudden, loud against the glass. Not dramatic, just inconvenient. The kind that makes you wait. "I should check on your girlfriend," she said, standing, as if the sentence itself could move us apart. "She's asleep," I said. I hadn't meant to say it like that. Honest. Intimate. Lena stopped, turned back to me. The cafe felt very empty all at once. "I don't want to be someone you explain later," she said. I swallowed. "You wouldn't be. That's the problem." Her voice didn't shake, but her hand did when she reached for her bag again and missed the strap. I caught it, instinctive, my fingers brushing hers. Neither of us pulled away. Her skin was warmer than I expected. The contact was brief, accidental, defensible, but the pause afterward wasn't. She looked at our hands like they belonged to someone else. "This is where we stop," she said. I nodded. I meant it. Still, I didn't let go right away. The rain got heavier. Someone laughed somewhere down the hall. Her phone buzzed again inside the bag, unanswered. She took her hand back gently, as if correcting me. Stepped closer instead of farther, close enough that I could smell her shampoo. Clean, understated. "For what it's worth," she said quietly, "I notice you too." I opened my mouth. I don't know what I was going to say. Her name, maybe, or nothing. She touched my sleeve, just above the wrist. A soft, anchoring pressure. Then she let go and walked away, leaving the space where she'd been standing warm and unfinished. Like if I reached out now, I'd still catch her. The next time we were in the same room, we didn't pretend anymore. It was morning, too bright. The kind of light that makes you honest whether you want to be or not. I was in the lobby waiting for my girlfriend to check out, luggage everywhere, conversations overlapping, when I saw Lena standing by the windows, coat already on, coffee untouched beside her. She didn't look tired this time. She looked decided. "Can we talk?" she asked. "Not a second. Not about nothing. Just talk." We stepped outside, under the overhang where the rain from last night still clung to the air. Cars hissed past on wet pavement. Neither of us spoke at first. It felt like we were both listening for something to interrupt us. Nothing did. "This can't keep feeling like this," she said finally. I waited. She noticed. Exhaled. "I don't know what this is," she went on, quieter now. "And that's the part that scares me." I leaned against the column, hands in my pockets so I wouldn't do something stupid with them. "We're not doing anything." She looked at me then. Really looked. Exactly. The silence stretched. Not awkward. Heavy. Her eyes dropped to the ground, then back up, like she was bracing herself. "I'm too old to be confused like this," she said. "And you're too young to be standing this close to it." "I'm standing here because you asked me to," I said. Not defensive, just true. She nodded once. "I know. That's on me." For a moment, I thought she might cry. She didn't. Instead, she pressed her lips together, jaw tightening, like she was holding something back that didn't have words yet. "I spend my life being careful," she said. "I'm good at it. I've built everything around not crossing lines. And then you show up and—" She stopped herself, shook her head. I don't even want to finish that sentence. I wanted to tell her she didn't have to. I wanted to tell her I wasn't imagining it, that I wasn't making something out of nothing. I said none of it. Across the glass, I could see my girlfriend laughing with the concierge, unaware, unburdened. The contrast made my chest ache. Lena followed my gaze. Her shoulders softened, just slightly. "She doesn't deserve complications," she said. "No," I agreed. Another pause. Longer this time. She stepped closer, not touching, but close enough that the space between us felt deliberate. "I need you to understand something," she said. "This isn't about wanting. It's about recognizing a door and choosing not to open it." I swallowed. "And if I don't want to forget the door exists?" Her eyes flickered. "Hurt, maybe. Or relief. Or both. Then you walk away knowing it was there," she said. "That has to be enough." She reached out, stopped herself halfway, and let her hand fall back to her side. The restraint in that small movement felt louder than any touch we'd shared. "I'm asking you to be better than the moment," she said softly. I nodded, even though my throat burned. As she turned to leave, she paused without looking back and said, almost to herself, "If things were different, this wouldn't be this hard." I thought the hardest part would be not seeing her again. I was wrong. The hardest part was seeing her like nothing had changed. We crossed paths that afternoon in the hallway outside the elevators. My girlfriend was ahead of me, scrolling, walking fast. Lena stood there with her phone in her hand, staring at the wall like she'd forgotten where she was supposed to be. "Hey," I said before I could stop myself. She looked up. For a second, her face didn't rearrange itself. Whatever she'd been holding stayed there. "Hi," she said. Her voice was steady. Her eyes weren't. The elevator dinged. My girlfriend waved us in, oblivious. Lena hesitated, then stepped back. "I'll catch the next one." As the door slid shut, Lena's phone buzzed. I saw the name on the screen before she turned it face down. Daniel. I didn't know why that name lodged itself in me. I didn't ask. I couldn't. But the rest of the ride, I felt off balance, like I'd missed a step on a staircase that wasn't there. Later, my girlfriend went upstairs to nap. I wondered. That's how I found Lena again, sitting on a bench just outside the hotel, coat folded beside her, phone still in her hand like it weighed something. "You okay?" I asked. She didn't answer right away. Then she said, "Do you ever get tired of being the person people expect you to be?" I sat down, leaving space between us. "I don't know who else I'd be." She smiled faintly at that. "I did. Once." She turned the phone toward me. The screen showed a voicemail. Old, judging by the date. Years old. She didn't play it. Just held it there. That's my ex-husband, she said. He calls when he drinks. Leaves messages he doesn't remember. I'm sorry, I said. It sounded small. He used to sound like you, she added, almost casually. Then she looked at me, like she was checking if the damage had landed. Like me how? I asked. Like he still believed he had time, she said. The air between us shifted. I didn't move. I didn't joke. I didn't offer comfort I didn't understand yet. He died last year, she continued. Not from the drinking. From something quieter. Something that doesn't give warnings. She swallowed. Her hands were still, too still. I kept the voicemails, she said. Not because I loved him. Because they remind me how fast people become memories. I didn't know what to do with that. So I did nothing. Just stayed. After a while, she tapped the screen. The voicemail played, muffled, slurred, unfinished. He said her name wrong at the end. She stopped it before it finished. That's why I pulled away, she said. Not because of rules. Because you make me forget how fragile this all is. I looked at her then. Really looked. At the lines around her eyes that weren't from smiling. At the way she sat like someone used to bracing for impact. I'm not him, I said quietly. I know, she replied. That's what scares me. She stood, picking up her coat. Before she left, she hesitated, then placed her phone on the bench between us. Left it there for half a second longer than necessary, before taking it back. Some connections don't ask permission, she said. They just show up. Then she walked away, leaving me with the sound of a voicemail that never finished, and the unsettling knowledge that I hadn't been confusing the feeling. I'd been walking straight into it. It happened without planning, without permission, like everything else between us. My girlfriend had left that morning, an early train, a rushed goodbye, a promise to call when she landed. I stood in the lobby afterward longer than I needed to, watching people check in and out of lives that weren't mine. Lena was there already, sitting by the windows again. Same place, different weight. She looked up when she saw me. Didn't smile. Didn't look away. So, she said, this is where we stop pretending. I sat down across from her. Not too close. Not far enough. I think we already did. She nodded, fingers wrapped around a paper cup she hadn't touched. I don't want to be brave about this, she said. I don't want to be reckless either. I don't want to be a mistake you carry quietly, I said. That landed. She closed her eyes for a moment, like she needed to hear it twice. You're not, she said. But that doesn't mean this doesn't cost something. Outside, the city moved the way it always does, indifferent, efficient. Inside, everything felt slowed down, careful. I'm not asking you to choose me, she said. And I'm not asking you to leave anyone. I need to say this out loud so it doesn't rot in my head. I waited. Let her have the space. When you're around, she continued, I don't feel young. I feel awake. And that's dangerous, because I've spent years convincing myself sleep was safer. I swallowed. I don't feel rescued, I said. I feel seen. And I don't know what to do with that yet. She let out a breath that sounded like relief. Or surrender. Maybe both. We didn't touch. Not right away. We sat there, shoulders angled toward each other, knees almost brushing. Silence settled. Not empty, not heavy. Honest. This doesn't get a clean ending, she said. No, I agreed. But it gets a real one. She finally reached out then, not for my hand, not exactly. She rested her fingers against my wrist, just above the bone, where the pulse is easy to find. Didn't press. Just stayed. I didn't move. Didn't take more than she offered. We sat like that for a long time. People passed. Someone laughed. A suitcase tipped over nearby, and no one rushed to fix it. When she stood, she leaned her forehead briefly against my shoulder. Not a kiss. Not an embrace. Something quieter. Something harder to undo. Thank you, she said, for not making this louder than it needs to be. I nodded, because my voice wouldn't cooperate. She walked away without looking back. I stayed where I was, the ghost of her touch still counting time on my wrist, knowing that some connections don't explode into existence. They collapse inward, slow, undeniable, and change the shape of everything that comes after. I'm telling this from a distance now. Not years, just enough time for the noise to settle and the important parts to stay. People ask sometimes if anything happened. That question always feels clumsy, like they're measuring the wrong thing. Nothing dramatic followed. No secret life. No clean break that turned into something else overnight. What happened was quieter than that, and harder to explain. Lena and I didn't keep in touch the way people expect. A message once in a while. A check-in that didn't pretend to be casual. Eventually, even those became less frequent, not out of avoidance, but respect. Some connections aren't meant to be fed constantly. They're meant to be acknowledged, then carried. What changed most was me. Before her, I thought love was volume. Consistency. Being chosen loudly and often. I thought if something mattered, it would announce itself, force decisions, draw lines, demand proof. She showed me something else. She showed me that love can be restraint. That choosing not to cross a line can be more intimate than crossing it. That seeing someone clearly and letting them remain who they are is its own kind of closeness. I stopped confusing intensity with truth after that. As for her, I don't think she became softer or braver in any obvious way. If anything, she became more herself. Watching her taught me that strength isn't always about moving forward. Sometimes it's about standing still long enough to know why you won't. The last time we spoke, really spoke, she said something that stuck with me. She said, "Some people come into your life to remind you what you're capable of feeling, not what you're supposed to do." I carry that sentence with me now. I'm in a different relationship these days. Healthier, more honest. And I don't think I could have built it without first understanding that love doesn't always mean possession or outcome or permanence. Sometimes it just means recognition. Sometimes the point of a connection is that it happened at all, that two people met at the wrong time and still treated each other gently. When I think of Lena now, it isn't with ache or fantasy. It's with gratitude. For the way she held a door open without pushing me through. For the way she taught me that attention is a responsibility, not a prize. And for the way she proved that the most meaningful stories don't always end with people together, just changed. If this story made you feel something, let me know in the comments. Would you want more stories like this?